What's going on, everybody? Merry Christmas and Happy New Year! You are now tuned into Planetary HQ, the planetary headquarters for all your celestial information. And today, we have a bombshell. I wanted to say it so bad. Shout out to Patrick Embedded. We're talking about NHI contact from a Type 3 civilization. This is a very I would say like the best kept secret, not a well-known UFO case. In 1935, there is a series of contacts called the Urantia contacts. Beings actually made contact with human civilization and revealed information that is out of this world. We're gonna finish this episode, because this is part 2. We actually did part 1, so if you aren't caught up with all of that, make sure you go check that out so that you are, mentally prepared for everything. We'll try our best to keep you guys in the loop into the current conversation on where this current contact case lies, but I highly recommend going to check out part 1. You know me, Deadrick Baker, Debake the Wise, Debake the Wise on Instagram, joined by my brother Taylor Verser, Chilla, back from special cosmic duty. We're having fun tonight. We're just gonna keep it loose because that's what we try to do. I think everybody's really uptight right now about the alien threat, the extraterrestrial threat. We're not saying that's non-existent, but we want to focus on more of the positive contact cases, or the contact cases that I guess give us the most insight onto how these different beings are set up, how these different star races are integrated with each other, and how planet Earth is going to, hopefully in the future, we will get reintegrated with this galactic federation. So join us while we go down this ride from 1935 with the Urantia contacts. Chilla, you got anything for the people before we chop it up?
What's up, everybody? We're DJing tonight. This is a track that I made a long time ago. But yeah, actually, speaking of the Federation, I was in India for a unique project. There's an organization called the Earth Constitution Institute, and they are establishing the Earth Federation. They have a whole constitution, like written law, that has been worked on for like 20, almost maybe even 50 some years that this project has been going, and the founders had written this whole constitution where it's like, okay, if we could actually get the world on board, and sort of drop the sort of nation states, the sovereign nation state idea that currently rules the planet with the different countries. If there were a reason, or I guess some sort of motivator to really unite, what would be the system of law that we would unite under, right? So, the United Nations is a way, after World War II, I guess, that like they tried to organize some things, but it's by no means is it like a world government structure. And so this project is trying to do like a very lofty thing. So it's very interesting. I have a lot of footage and interviews from that, and you will definitely see some of that posted later. So got to establish the Earth Federation if we're going to join the Galactic Federation.
That's right. All Star Seeds report to Planetary HQ. No, but this is a serious matter. Like, a lot of people think space is just the Wild West. That, it's just cold rocks floating around space, maybe an occasional gray UFO ship hurtling through the void of galactic darkness. But upon further investigation, like once you start compiling all these different UFO contact cases and then matching up the different information and cross-correlating them, you start to see like a picture appear. You start to see an organized universe, not a chaotic Wild West universe. And we start to see that, oh, wow, they're highly organized. If we are organized down here, like in our military structures, our institutions, very organized so that we can keep planet Earth the way it is. We've advanced to the state where we have this type of technology and we're going to space. That's all based off organization. Why wouldn't the Star Brothers be organized, if not like us, but more than us? That would kind of make sense. So that's just the concept frame that I want people to start chewing on more often, instead of looking at space like it's just some empty void with some, every now and then, a weird alien pops up on the scene. Like, I always say this, I say it in most of my episodes. Jesus Christ talked about the kingdom of heaven. Jesus Christ was the head honcho of all the extraterrestrials. Kingdom of heaven is the universal government. They just said it differently back then. They didn't have the term universe. They called it the heavens. They didn't have the term government. They said kingdom. So kingdom of heaven is the universal government. Some people like to say galactic federation. A million different ways to say it. Just understand that there is an organization up there in the stars, and they're highly organized, but I don't want to get into the different factions, but yes, there's different factions. That's not what we're going to focus on this episode. We have plenty of other episodes talking about the different ET factions, but right now we're going to talk about this specific contact case, which is referring to an ET civilization that is apparently a Type 3, if not a higher Type 4, Type 5, Type 6 civilization. An alien species that has the ability to harness the power of its sun and black holes. So almost think like a galactic civilization, a civilization that has the ability to travel its entire galaxy, or the entire Milky Way. Terraforming planets, seeding planets with life, faster than light travel, that kind of stuff. Billions upon trillions of years more advanced than us that we cannot even fathom. We're still using like aluminum and tin and bolts down here for our stuff. They're using like light and biologic technology. So you have to start understanding that these civilizations are so advanced. They're using like I said, biology, what you would consider reality, like gravity. They're using that as an actual, that's their technology. We're going to dive into it right here. So, like I said before, 1935, a Type 3 civilization made contact with human beings, and we're going to go over exactly what they say. So, I guess we'll just start reading, unless you have any other precursors you want to tell the people.
No, I just pulled up a video on my screen. I can share it with you too.
Okay.
It's kind of interesting. I used AI to kind of animate this photo that we're looking at. Let me see if I can share this with you. Of course, it puts a tag on it here. Here we go. Got it. So yeah, this is OpenAI's
cool.
Sora video thing, and you can drop photos in and stuff. So kind of simple. I don't know why I put this little tag on there. Probably because the service is free right now. But yeah, so that's depicting a Dyson sphere. If anyone's not really familiar with this concept, it's basically, I guess, a technological way to harness either the power of an existing star or maybe like an artificial star that we created in space using some kind of fusion, I would imagine. And I don't even know, there's definitely some cool history behind I think the origin of the Dyson sphere, and I forget who. It's probably a scientist named Dyson.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's exactly it. But I don't know the exact story. Boris Kaliv Dyson? I don't know.
Oh, actually, sorry. I guess maybe Olaf Stapleton, physicist and physicist and mathematician Freeman Dyson was the first. Let's see.
Creating superstructures that are harnessing the powers of suns. Like, believe it or not, there are beings who have this ability.
Yeah, there's a whole wiki on it, so I can drop it in the chat for y'all if you want to learn more. But we'll continue on with the paper here.
Yeah, that's right. So here's part 5 from the Urantia contact. They put 196 different contacts that started in like 1911 to 1935, and they made a book out of it. And they call it the Urantia book. I call it the Urantia contacts. And this is transmission number 55. So, like I said, part 1, go check it out. That's another episode, a couple live streams back. We're going to continue halfway through the paper. So, at part 5 from paper 55. The acme of material development. Mortal creatures living on a sin-stricken, evil-dominated, self-seeking, isolated world such as Earth, Urantia, can hardly conceive of the physical perfection, the intellectual attainment, and the spiritual development which characterize these advanced epochs of evolution on a sinless sphere. The advanced stages of a world settled in light and life represent the acme of evolutionary material development. On these cultured worlds, gone are the idleness and friction of the earlier primitive ages. Poverty and social inequality have all but vanished. Degeneracy has disappeared, and delinquency is rarely observed. Insanity has practically ceased to exist, and feeble-mindedness is a rarity. That'd be nice. Wonder what kind of socioeconomic patterns they have to totally vanquish all that. That's pretty cool. The economic, social, and administrative status of these worlds is of a high and perfected order. Science, art, and industry flourish, and society is a smoothly working mechanism of high material, intellectual, and cultural achievement. Industry has been largely diverted to serving the higher aims of such a superb civilization. The economic life of such a world has become ethical. War has become a matter of history, and there are no more armies or police forces. Government is gradually disappearing. Self-control is slowly rendering laws of human enactment obsolete. The extent of civil government and statutory regulation in an intermediate state of advancing civilization is in inverse proportion to the morality and spirituality of the citizenship. It's a good way to put it. So the more we are able to have self-control over our mind, body, spirits in relation to other mind, body, spirits, other people, that is inversely proportional to how much we have a overarching government. So we need bigger government when we can't control ourselves. But once we actually start all individually controlling ourselves, government will slowly cease to exist. So none of that World Economic Forum, George Soros, Illuminati ass shit. It'll be freedom for the people, because we're not going to be going around trying to steal and kill shit from each other.
Right.
So
That's super interesting. Like, I think the most dystopian version is like when they went in Minority Report, when they use psionics to predict crime, and it's like super it's
that's so scary,
technocratical.
Dude.
And that's just what I think of when I think like, yeah, that's not the direction that we go. We don't slowly get psychic powers as a society and then we like use that to like stop crime. Like, in fact, the more psychic, I guess, that we master in self-control and like sort of inner morality or the expansion of art and the meaning of life and all those paths that religions are like just barely breaking the surface, here, right? That's interesting. Eventually, the self-control is such a baseline, and everyone's working towards you could say there's a unified culture, even growing up as a child, where you're not programmed with any of the lower thought forms that cause so many distortions here, where it's like, then when you grow up in that society, you're basically you're expecting the best of other people. The baseline is completely different. And so that means that you don't need a police force to enact laws. Or to dish out punishments when people like don't obey or follow strictly to the letter. Now, this is a super interesting concept because before I ever read the Urantia contacts, I read something called Chronicles from the Future, which is this story about a guy who consciousness time slips. He falls asleep for a year because he has this rare sleeping disease, and he says that he woke up in the body of someone else in the future in 3906 AD, and
so trippy.
He lives there for a whole year, and until he comes back and wakes back up in his body here in the 1920s. And when he woke back up, he wrote a journal about his experiences, and he describes his experience of what future society was like. And he says he was amazed that how everything was set up, the type of like universal spirituality without having like a overarching, like necessary, like a one religion per se. But there was like, it's exactly what this whole section describes, the acme of material development. And yeah, he said that like, even if people like break the laws, kind of like, it's okay, and they don't even need to like punish them, because there's not enough people doing it for it to be like a true problem to society. And like the people that broke the law kind of like knew like they can correct themselves, you could say, in a way. So it's just a really interesting linkage there.
Yeah, and like, I don't want people to hear this and think that this is out of our reach. I know it sounds like super advanced, crazy civilization, but I think this would be kind of easy. And you kind of touched upon that subject when you were speaking too. Like, it comes down to young people being conditioned or young people being taught, no matter what you think of a planet is a landing zone. The landing zone for souls. When souls get born, they incarnate on the planet, and this planet is their landing zone. It's a petri dish. It's a training sphere. Call it what you want, but it's a place where souls land. The beings who are adults on the planet, their responsibility is to teach these young souls the correct way to act on planet Earth, and then that cycle should keep advancing. On rebel-stricken planets like Earth, unfortunately, that regime, you can kind of distort the landing zone so bad that the teachers don't even know the right answers anymore. So when new souls land, if the teachers aren't up to par to be able to teach, they're going to start teaching distortions, and those young souls will forever be distorted because they believe that's the truth. When you're young, if you tell a young kid something, they believe that's the truth. So you can teach kids distortions unknowingly. I see parents doing it all the time, and it sucks because, it's just what they learned and they don't know any better. And that kid will think that's the way to think. I saw a lady in Walmart talking real hood to her like 4 or 5-year-old daughter because she just grabbed something off the shelf. She grabbed her, smacked her, and was like, "You don't touch it," and got in her face and shit. And I was like, damn, this ratchet chick is teaching her kid how to act like this, and that's going to keep it going. She thinks that's the way to, next time she gets into a situation similar to this, she's going to react the way her mom reacted to her because she thinks that's okay. These are just small examples on how you can condition a new soul that's landing on planet Earth if you don't know how to teach correctly. And if you do that over and over again, you get fucked up, crazy people, and you need a big government police forces to stop those people from doing crazy shit. But if you imagine on a real planet Earth, or sorry, not a real planet Earth, a more advanced planet, a planet that's more advanced than planet Earth, if all the adults understood that we are on this planet to hit our mind, body, spirit potentials, and no matter what, if I enter a new group, a new setting, go to a new place, a new country, every being in that town, in that place, they're focused on mind, body, spirit progress. And it's unheard of to try to take away from someone else. We're only just trying to hit our potential. Imagine that on an advanced planet. When souls land, by the time they're 10, 11, 12, they're, like you said, their baseline is just already super advanced, so they don't need that governance. So, and it's a long-winded way to say it's a lot easier than you think. We just have to teach the incoming souls correctly. But that's the responsibility for the adults, the teachers, us. And right now, we care more about fucking bullshit than I can imagine. Red, blue, money, water, money, K-pop, Real Housewives. It's just all the bullshit. But you get what I'm trying to say. Just try to get to the point where we don't need big government.
Get the choir. Where's the choir?
Yeah, where's the? I think I got something. There you go.
That's not the choir.
There you go. There's the choir, the Urantia choir. But yeah, just thinking about what society looks on a Type 3 civilization. And remember, the Urantia book, it says in the beginning of this paper and in other papers, it implies, and it says directly that we are a full 2.5 dispensations behind where we should be. And if you're factoring that in, we should be entering the era of light and life around now. That's what a lot of people are thinking. So, all right, let's keep going. Schools are vastly improved and are devoted to the training of mind and the expansion of soul. The art centers are exquisite and the musical organizations superb. The temples of worship, with their associated schools of philosophy and experiential religion, are creations of beauty and grandeur. The open air arenas of worship assembly are equally sublime in the simplicity of their artistic appointment. The provisions for competitive play, humor, and other phases of personal and group achievement are ample and appropriate. A special feature of the competitive activities on such a highly cultured world concerns the efforts of individuals and groups to excel in the sciences and philosophies of cosmology. Literature and oratory flourish, and the language is so improved as to be symbolic of concepts as well as to be expressive of ideas. Life is refreshingly simple. Man has at last coordinated a high state of mechanical development with an inspiring intellectual attainment and has overshadowed both with an exquisite spiritual achievement. The pursuit of happiness is an experience of joy and satisfaction. I'm not gonna lie, that was a cool section, but it was kind of a blue ballsy. You're like, damn, you're gonna tell us what the acme of material development is on a Type 3 civilization planet, and it's pretty much a bunch of platitudes. Like, yeah, they're really advanced and they have superb mechanisms. But in the beginning of this paper, he says, I can only adhere to what my commission has let me to. I can't speak outside of my mandate.
Right.
So you can see his hands
a little
are
bit
tied. He wants to
generalized
say
or
more,
summarized.
but
They ChatGPT.
Yeah.
They gave us the like executive summary with a little bit of a filter over it because they don't want to reveal too much about other worlds. They're even like, because there's other, we say that this book has the greatest classification of extraterrestrials known to man, and it does, but you notice in every paper that talk about ETs and life on another planet, it's like, has this disclaimer at the start that's like, most of the time we're not allowed to share this. In this case, we're sharing this small portion for this reason. So it's like, it acknowledges this fact, but it also knows that like, it's in our future to encounter these civilizations for ourselves and make important decisions that uses our best planetary wisdom to figure out how we will choose to interact with these civilizations, right? It's not giving us like the entire playbook or the answers ahead of the quiz, right? That's humanity's opportunity to sort of figure out. And so, yeah, there's a lot of like mystery to it. We gotta discover this. We gotta disclose instead of the government's keeping this a secret. But that's why Planetary HQ is here. We're going to tell you how it is before the government ever tells you how it isn't.
Exactly. And like people waiting for disclosure, that's not going to happen. It's going to come from us. It's going to come from independent sources like independent journalists, the people, because we're in control, man. And they call this entire contact, the Urantia book, the fifth epochal revelation. And in the book itself, it says like they sent us this information as an emergency so that we can kind of get back on track because we were kind of way off the wrong track. So this information should be the baseline. So all the stuff we're talking about, it sounds so advanced now because not everybody knows it, but this should be the baseline right here. So we got a lot to work with. We have an exciting future once everybody's able to digest these concepts like regularly, like they're elementary. Then I think we're going to start to see a really big integration. But yeah, like other parts in the book, every time they like start a different paper, sometimes they say like straight up, they say, I wish I could tell you more, but I'm restricted by my mandate. And then it says, there are things about these events I would like to tell you, but I can't. And then it'll indirectly tell you like a couple paragraphs later. It does it like 2 or 3 times. It's funny. Like the angel says, like, I can't tell you, but if you read between the lines in the next 2 paragraphs, it gives you the answer, and you're like, oh. So just lends more credence to the entire.
They're dancing around the free will concept and the authorizations.
Give them a top security clearance, a Q clearance.
Yeah, you're right.
Cryptic Cosmo clearance. But yeah, it's your part, I guess. You want to read?
Yep. The individual mortal. As worlds advance in the settled status of light and life, society becomes increasingly peaceful. The individual, while no less independent and devoted to his family, has become more altruistic and fraternal. On Urantia, and as you are, you can have little appreciation of the advanced status and progressive nature of the enlightened races of these perfected worlds. These people are the flowering of the evolutionary races, but such beings are still mortal. They continue to breathe, eat, sleep, and drink. This great evolution is not heaven, but it is a sublime foreshadowing of the divine worlds of the paradise ascent. On a normal world, the biologic fitness of the mortal race was long since brought up to a high level during the post-Adamic epochs, and now, from age to age through the settled eras, the physical evolution of man continues. Both vision and hearing are extended. Oh.
Yeah, what's that?
Okay. Vision and hearing are extended. We're going to be looking at infrared here. We're going to be psychic here. So
X-ray vision like Superman.
Ooh, yeah. By now, the population has become stationary in numbers. Oh, interesting.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Reproduction is regulated in accordance with planetary requirements and innate hereditary endowments. Oh. The mortals on a planet during this age are divided into from 5 to 10 groups, and the lower groups are permitted to produce only one half as many children as the higher. The continued improvement of such a magnificent race through the era of light and life is largely a matter of the selective reproduction of those racial strains which exhibit superior qualities of a social, philosophic, cosmic, and spiritual nature. Interesting. Should we pause there?
Gee, that's crazy. Yeah, I mean,
there's a lot of big topics in there for sure. Like, this is talking about allegedly top tier societies on other planets, and yeah, this is some interesting statements. Now, I guess first of all, let's maybe tackle this. So, on a normal world, biologic fitness of a mortal race was long since brought up to a high level during the post-Adamic epochs. Okay, so this is the key to kind of really understand some of these other paragraphs so that it's not like taken out of context, because, I mean, those are two hot topics, right? Like, people talk about like population control, or what do they call it? Was that the term? Population, like limiting. Like, that's a really hot topic because it feels like a really big infringement on freedom. And I definitely get that, so we can talk more about that. But the first statement is talking about these post-Adamic epochs. So here's what this is. This is so there's what they call the evolutionary species, where humans had 7 like root races, right? That's where we get the main different skin colors. And those root races existed for like a million years ago is their kind of origin, I think. Well, a little bit less, because there was like it talks about a Andonic root race that came before those colored races, but those colored races came out of that root race, and that happened like close to a million years ago, right? And then there's different landing points when celestial beings actually incarnate, and they start to integrate and bring higher DNA strains into the evolutionary strains, right? Because they want an evolutionary population that was like homegrown out of the planet, that is attuned to the specific planetary conditions. But then they also have assisted evolution, where they are bringing in like higher DNA strains, which from basically what we would consider aliens. Any modern human, if these celestials landed and incarnated, would be like, okay, they came from space, they look like humans, but they're kind of like aliens. I guess it'd be closer to Avatar, but like the bodies that they come in with are like 8 feet tall and are like looking sick. And they have like auras glowing, electromagnetic auras. Yeah, they're super hot. They're like, you're like, what is this?
They have real aura.
They have real aura, yeah. And so, but these are like planetary leaders who have like thousands of years of experience on other worlds, and they help the planet out, and not in like take over the planet, this is an alien invasion kind of thing. It's like they set up, well, Adam and Eve specifically, there was a garden city that was built for them, so that when they landed and they manifested in physical bodies, they had like a home base that they actually invited the different evolutionary tribes to. They went out and invited the best of the best from the different tribes from all the different lands, and they're like, hey, come check out our epic like garden land. Like, we're going to show you what we have going on here. And they teach them. It's a school, the garden school. And when they teach them, they allow them to go back out eventually to their different tribes and their native peoples. And they bring that knowledge and they teach them, and they bring back more people. So it's a very organic system of growth. You know, don't think of it like alien invasion. And this entire process is organized by the Celestials who planted life in the first place. So that's another reason, a context that is important to understand, so that you understand it's not just an external alien race coming in. No, these are beings overwatching the life program, and then they insert themselves in at key points in order to assist this process and lead us spiritually and materially. They teach us how to do it so that we can do it for ourselves, and they sort of act as guiders. And this is why in the book of Enoch, it calls them the Watchers, right? They sort of like watch and oversee, and then they'll participate on different kind of levels. And as time goes on, they'll do more and more, and they bring the civilization up, you know, with them, right? So that's what we're talking about, this biologic fitness, DNA. This is the original hybridization program. This is part of the reason why humanity is so set apart from the lower animals, right? So yeah, I just wanted to preface with that. I don't know if you have any insights or things to add to that.
Not yet. You're great. Alley-oop, baby. You make a good point. Like it says the post-Adamic epochs. I kind of explained it in the part 1, but to reiterate it, epochs or dispensations or eras. The Urantia book uses these terms interchangeably. Era is marked, or a new epoch is marked when the celestial lands. Okay. So human beings, we appeared from the evolutionary struggle 1 million years ago. 500,000 years ago, the Anunnaki landed, and then they taught us civilization, and they mated with us. They weren't supposed to, but they did. And that's what caused the whole Lucifer rebellion. 37,000 years ago, another ET race landed, and that was Adam and Eve. They also weren't supposed to directly mate with us, but they did mate with us. For a different story, we actually have already covered the topic. Go check the YouTube channel and the live streams. But so that's what it is. 500,000 years ago, 37,000 years ago, and 1 million years ago is when the humans appeared. Okay. 500,000 years ago. So before the Anunnaki landed 500,000 years ago, we were called pre-planetary prince man. And then when the Anunnaki landed, the planetary prince, we were post-planetary prince man. And then when Adam landed, after Adam landed, we were post-Adamic. So we were after the Adam and Eve land. So that's what it's talking about, post-Adamic epochs. So let's remember that it says right here, usually on a normal planet, if their Adam and Eve didn't rebel, we would have already all been amalgamated into one race. We would have already been fully blended by now. We would all be the same color, speaking the same language. Because Adam and Eve rebelled 37,000 years ago, or defaulted, and because the Anunnaki also rebelled 250,000 years ago, we didn't get fully blended. The program was to all be one color right now. So you can see we're not just like making this up. This is scientifically backed by the MCPH1 gene. I actually put some screenshots in the chat right here. If you can start with the second screenshot for the people. So MCPH1, it's microcephaline 1. It's a gene in our DNA sequence that is involved in regulating brain size. There are, I don't want to look at pictures because they're kind of gross, but if you have an MCPH1 genetic mutation when you're a baby, your brain gets like really, like hydrocephaline gets really big or really small, and your brain's really tiny, and you can't function as a regular human. You're mentally, you're not there. MCPH1 is responsible for your cortex brain size. So if that's off, you're like, you revert back to like a monkey state, or you're just not all there. So the MCPH1 gene, it originated from a lineage that separated from the modern humans 1.1 million years ago, okay? That's when humans appeared on Earth. And then if you can go to the next screenshot I put in the chat, or the first one I put in the chat. And then it says MCPH1. It showed a huge adaptive variant 200,000 years ago. That's when the Anunnaki mated with us. And then it shows another increased variant exactly 37,000 years ago. So there are 3 different genetic markers for our brain size, starting at 1 million years ago, 200,000 years ago, when the Anunnaki mated with us to increase our brain size. And then 37,000 years ago, when Adam and Eve landed, they mated with us and increased our brain size again. And there is genetic markers in this. It's called the MCPH1. You can look it up on your own. Tay-Chill is probably showing you guys the screenshots that I did of my Google search, but there's entire papers about it. It's very interesting. So that's backing up what we're talking about with this. The different celestial beings that landed and mated with us and altered our DNA. Like Tay-Chill said, the original hybrid program. This isn't gray aliens abducting you at night and extracting your semen, which are cool stories. This is the ancient ETs having sex with us. You know, the Nephilim,
fully
the
sanctioned.
sons of daughter. Yeah,
until it wasn't.
Cosmic stamps. Yeah,
it was supposed to be sanctioned, but the order of operations got changed, and instead of doing PEMDAS, they switched up the order. And
wow, they took some creative liberty on the orders. But so that's what we're talking about. And so when that was supposed to happen on a normal planet, we were supposed to be fully blended by now. If the rebellion didn't happen, that would have happened. And now they're talking about reproduction gets regulated according with planetary requirements. We talk about it on other episodes a lot too. It's pretty much just making sure that people that are focused on mind, body, spirit progress mate together so that when that kid comes in, those teachers are qualified to teach that kid so that that kid is prepared and is conditioning from birth to be a mind, body, spirit progressive seeking individual. We talk about this with the app we're trying to make, the mind, body, spirit app, the legacy program, where it's substituting Instagram. You know, you post a picture of your booty or your titties and you get a like. You post a picture of a Ferrari, you get a like. You post a picture of money and ice and you get a like. That's how it is nowadays. But we foresee a future social media program where your points, your mind, body, spirit progress is tracked and you get points based off that. And like, say I want to grow today, we'll go on a hike or go study something in a science museum. I can go on my legacy app and meet other people in my town. And when we do it together, you get like a bonus points multiplier. And at the end of the year, end of the month, you see who's grown the most in the mind, body, spirit. And those will be the people on the top of the leaderboards. So you're going to get likes and you're going to get points based off your mind, body, spirit progress. And in now, when that's going to be the main app, let's imagine that is the foremost app in society. Now, that causes social sexual pressure, especially amongst the youth, because in order to get a mate nowadays, all you have to do is flash diamonds and that girl's going to like you. And that's not a proper standard for picking your mate because you're not focused on whose mind, body, spirit progress and mate for mating. Now this person can be a complete idiot, tattoos on his face, a lot of money. Girl thinks he's hot. They mate, but they're not prepared to create a mind, body, spirit progressive kid because they're not in that right headspace. With this mind, body, spirit app, instead, the person's going to get the girl because he's mind, body, spirit progress. The girl's going to be like, I want him because he has the highest mind, body, spirit rating. And now that creates an evolutionary sexual pressure. Now, instead of Instagram baddies linking up with like rappers, it'll be like people who are mind, body, spirit progress searching for other mind, body, spirit progress mates. And then you'll get made fun of if you try to get a girl by flashing a Ferrari. People are going to laugh at you and be like, wow, you clown. You try to get a mate by flashing Ferrari
That's
and
the
money,
old
you
light
idiot.
code. They did that in
Wow.
2020.
Yeah, exactly. Those are the old light codes. So, and the chick's going to be like, no, I want him who's killing it. And that would make sense. So like, it's a different way of saying what they're saying. They're talking about a state mandated program where the people who don't test out mentally, physically, and spiritually don't get to reproduce as much as the people who test out. And you know what? Like, I'm not talking about like the state needs to get in between you and your reproductive rights. I'm saying that like it does make sense that you should be able to test out on a national scale your mind, body, spirit levels. And if you have a higher points, we want a progressive society, right? Like, I don't know. I'm not trying to restrict people's birth, but again, we're talking about an advanced society and the government is already non-existent. So they're probably having these conversations amongst themselves. And
Yeah.
people are like every day waking up trying to test higher so they can get, a better mating,
And I think that the ethics of that program change a lot when you have like what they consider an enlightened humanity and an enlightened mortal. Right now, the main problem with like the ethics of trying to install some sort of population control is probably like there's so many biases just between the different races that if the states were imposing these things, I mean, you can already see it in history. Look at the reason for people that have imposed this types of things. Look at the reasons that they come up with, and then you go, they can't. Their reasons are not really backed by anything except like a preference or a prejudice. You could say it doesn't have to do with like really classifying the highest mind, body, spirit progressive individuals. It's just like I like our skin color better than your skin color, right? And that's literally what racism is, So
yeah.
that's definitely like the reason why we prefaced this after we read this paragraph, like, wow, there's a lot of like controversial topics in here. But again, when the world is operating on like a completely different set of like mental pictures about what is important, Like everyone is wanting the most progressive, I guess, elements of mind, body, spirit progress, which also includes like, okay, I think we're going to be back live here in a couple seconds.
That's cool. I think you're in the middle of saying something.
Yeah, we're good.
Yeah,
I remember where I was at. Okay, I think we are back, everyone.
Nice.
Yeah, we are back. We are live again. So sorry, for people watching in the future, I think it's just gonna be a small cut there. But yeah, I mean, basically, what I was saying here is that Chronicles from the Future book is so interesting because it talks about this alleged future society of Earth, and they implement a lot of these different things. They talk about how they like when two partners want to apply or want to have a kid, they like apply and then they basically get they're on a waiting list because they keep the population at a stationary number. And I think the main reason for that is some of it's detailed. Again, there's a lot of ethics behind this whole topic as a whole, but we're not going to shy away from talking about it. On one hand, you could just go like the mathematics of resources, input, output. You could say that the more people on a planet and the higher density cities become, you could say that like if you don't increase your resource production, then the only thing that can happen is that the quality of life will go down because you're going to be starting to stretch your resources thin. So you either have to sort of always adapt your amount of resources and go up, but still resources alone are still a problem if your population density is just going up, because if people just living in the same space are so condensed, like that alone is going to cause its own set of like, I guess, dynamics in how people live, right? So then you like spread people out, you use all the different sectors of the planet. It's just like there's a lot of different, I guess you could say, ways to think about it. And I don't know all the reasons that they're suggesting why this is normally managed and kept like stationary. Like, why would they not allow it to grow at a constant rate, even if technology is super high? That's sort of like, I don't know. That's an interesting question. But yeah, I mean, we're already getting into the weeds in our current society with the different technologies like CRISPR babies and altering DNA, trying to figure out like
fucking crazy.
What we're yeah, it's wild. So it's like Lego mix and match, right? So these are inevitabilities, I guess you could say, of progressing civilization.
Yeah, and like it's something not to like shy from. Oh my god, you're talking about eugenics. Like, no, we're not talking about Nazi eugenics. The Nazis had their own form of it, and that's a fucking weirdo way. We're just talking about just normally having people with high IQs, high get after it mentalities mating with each other. And we talk about this all the time. Like, look at the way the Olympic athletes joke, especially when the Olympics is there and they have the Olympic Village and they're all fucking each other, and how many babies gets created because like they want athletic kids. All half these girls out here, they're like, I want a tall man so we can make athletic babies, we can make D1 athletes. It's a joke. We all talk about it, and that makes sense. A killer soccer player wants to mate with a killer football player to make killer athletic babies. You want to mate with that girl because she has good genes because you want pretty babies. Like we already practice this. We do it with dogs and animals. We breed, we crossbreed. We want different colors. We want different. This one's fast, so let's mate it with another fast horse, and we get fast horses. You like Punnett squares when you cross pollinate with, or when you try to create different types of resilient seeds. You look at the different type of corns. Ooh, this stock has strong corn stalks, so let's mate this with this to make sure the seeds are strong. It's just normal. We're not over here saying that we're only trying to create blonde-haired, blue-eyed people, because that's fucking weird. It's saying the Urantia book says it's all about mixing dissimilar yet superior strains, and that in the end we're going to be a fully blended race. So the master race is a fully blended race, and on these planets, it's like when you play sports. When you play sports and you're like doing tryouts at basketball, if you don't jump high enough, if you screw up, you don't get mad at everybody else and say, you're a racist. How dare you? No, you're like, it's on me. I failed. Next time I'm going to try harder. I'm going to come back to the court and I'm going to play harder. That's how this planet is looking at life. When they wake up from birth on planet Earth and they're focused on their mind, body, spirit progress, it's all they're caring about. They're caring about trying to provide as much as they can to the team. And if they failed, it's on them. It's not, they're not going to point fingers at people and be like, you're racist, you know? So when they're like trying to qualify in the planetary league of mind, body, spirit progress so they can qualify to get a mate, if they fail, it's on them. You know, they're not saying like it's racist, they're hating. So like it's hard for us to perceive this because we're looking at it through our lens on 21st century Earth about, you're talking about selective mating programs to make sure that the race becomes its peak. Yeah, but get your mindset in their mindset where their entire life is dedicated to trying to progress the race, not manipulate men to get money. So they want these classes, these training regimes to be kind of tough and hard so that it pushes them to their limits and it pushes the race to the limits. And if you can't qualify as much as the next guy, that's on you. So I guess we can move on from the topic of eugenics.
Yeah, let's do it. Okay, so I'm still reading here. So the adjusters, aka the higher selves that volunteer in our mortal minds as the divine fragments, the inner spark, the God spark. The adjusters continue to come in as in former evolutionary eras, and as the epochs pass, these mortals are increasingly able to commune with the indwelling father fragment. During the embryonic and pre-spiritual stages of development, the adjutant mind spirits are still functioning. The Holy Spirit and the ministry of angels are even more effective as the successive epochs of settled life are experienced. In the fourth stage of light and life, the advanced mortals seem to experience considerable conscious contact with the spirit presence of the master spirit of the super-universe jurisdiction, while the philosophy of such a world is focused upon the attempt to comprehend the new revelations of God the Supreme. More than one half of the human inhabitants on planets of this advanced status experience translation to the Urantia state from among the living. Even so, old things are passing away. Behold, all things are becoming new. Oh, nice. They got a quote in there. Normally, when they have quotes like that, sometimes it's from the Bible. Sometimes it's specifically things Jesus said. I can look that one up, see where it comes from.
Yeah, definitely a Bible quote, right?
Looks like 2 Corinthians 5:17. So I think this would be attributed to Jesus. Oh, it's Paul.
Yep, a letter of Paul to the Corinthians.
There you go. They're quoting Paul. That's a new one. Just
Shout
because
Paul.
They criticize some things about Paul.
Yeah.
Did your audio volume change?
Did it? I don't know. Am I just talking a little bit different? I'm not sure.
Looks like it went up a little bit. No, it's okay. I
didn't touch my gain or nothing. No.
Okay, I got it. Yeah. Oh, so I wanted to touch on. Let's see. Okay, so this is interesting. The more than one half of the human inhabitants on this planet of advanced status experience translation to the Urantia state from among the living, right? So what we would call our afterlife is what they call the Urantia worlds, and it's a state in between material and like pure spirit. And so it says that in earlier stages, it's super rare for somebody to merge with their inner God spark, which actually causes this like intense flash of like light and energy, because it's like the human spirit has become so connected to the divine that it literally translates their body and like sheds it off like a cocoon, right? And they become a Urantia being like in a flash of light. And this is actually a process that in the past has happened only like twice, I think, in recorded history that they reveal in the Urantia book. They talk about Enoch did this. He fused with his inner God spark, and there's this flash of light, and the Bible records that as going up in a chariot of fire. Or I think for Enoch it says he walked with God and then walked the earth no more. I forget the exact quote, but it also says Elijah went up in a chariot of fire. So there's like that there's different and there's different ways that, you know, chariot of fire could also mean like a UFO took them, but in some cases it does mean this process that it calls fusion with the inner divine. And yeah, you know, eventually you don't actually die physically, or if you were in this planet on this stage of light and life, it's possible that you wouldn't physically have to die. You would actually translate like this because your mind, body, spirit progressing. And apparently, this is also like a sight to see. That when it happens so often that they create these like temples, and people go there when they're like they've experienced the life that they needed to, they've accomplished a bunch of lessons, and then they go to this temple, all their friends and family come and they like wave goodbye as they flash off in this celestial
nuclear reaction.
Yeah. And don't they say it's like they're celestial beings that actually shield the people that are watching from the energies, because it actually it also says they bring them into the atmosphere as another way to make sure that this transformation does not affect the like normal humans that are still watching.
Nuke their neighborhood on accident.
Yeah, nuked.
Yeah, bring them to the atmosphere.
You hear the town next by got everyone's
off.
Irradiated.
Yeah.
Billy fused without getting the Celestials to set up the energy heat shields. He's always been an impatient bastard.
Fucking greedy ass. Fucking yeah. That was like I think the first section of this paper. Go check out part 1. We go over it heavily. I do correlate the pyramids to prototype Urantia temples. I did put a little graphic in the chat for the people. You can just see that in the pyramid system, if you're going to say this is like a prototype Urantia temple, you can see where the star shafts point to Orion, Sirius, Ursa Minor, and Alpha Draconis. And the Keys of Enoch talks about if you meditate in these, if you could activate them correctly, your consciousness can get shot out to different star systems for training purposes and for even ascension purposes off planet. So I always say that because we should be in light and life by our dispensation, but we're 2 dispensations behind. I think these might be some type of prototypical Urantia temple, but we just don't know how to activate it yet. Yeah. But that paper says that even on the most advanced planet of light and life, I think only 50% of the population actually leaves via that method. The other 50% still die due to natural techniques because I don't think they can achieve fusion during that lifetime.
Yeah, for sure. And what's the connection there with Orion? What do we say on the channel? You go into this a lot more deeply. Why is one of these shafts pointed towards Orion?
So it's my hypothesis by synthesizing 2 texts, the Urantia Context and the Keys of Enoch, because the Urantia book doesn't say this specifically, but the Keys of Enoch does. It says that when we die, we're going to wake up on the left star of Orion's belt, and that's an ancient, like, galactic threshold gateway to the greater cosmos. So when we die, we're going to wake up on the left star of Orion's belt. That's why that star shaft is pointed directly towards Alnitak, the left star of Orion's belt. It even shows it on Wikimedia Commons. They don't know what we're talking about, but they can see it's lined up. In the Urantia book, it says when the Lucifer rebellion happened, the rebels set up shop in their headquarters directly opposed and next to the normal galactic headquarters. And the Keys of Enoch says they actually took over the right star of Orion's belt, and they wanted to hold court at that ancient galactic threshold point to try to reclaim that ascension circuit. So that's why you get these mixed messages of Orion's bad or is Orion good. But I guess in the ancient past, Orion's belt was and still is that ascension portal gateway. But the rebels also set up their headquarters there too. So
yeah, because a key part of the rebellion was that the celestial, what you could call angelic beings, billions of years old, managing multiple galaxies or constellations, inhabited planets, they wanted to build their own ascension scheme. They didn't agree with, I guess, the way that souls were being schooled and taught and where they were being sent. They were like, it's a scam. They're not telling the truth about the end destination. We need to create our own program. So that's why they would have set up a headquarters at that ascension point, because they would want to, I guess you could say, grab the souls as soon as they resurrect and sort of redirect where they're headed. You could even go as far to say this is part of where you get that whole like moon trap, Saturn soul trap mythology, where it's like souls are being redirected instead of going to like the afterlife, they're being like trapped somewhere. This also ties into, prison planet ideology, the fact that it seems like maybe souls are being like kept here or not allowed to resurrect and get to the afterlife. And Urantia supports that also in a sense. It says that the souls that do get resurrected from Earth are actually kept in like a quarantine zone on Mansion World 1 to just like integrate them a little bit more before like opening up the floodgates and being like, hey, there's also aliens here in heaven and there's all this other stuff and all. Yeah, they kind of like slow introduce because of how far behind we are in our epochal progression. So there's a whole bunch of great commentary about those subjects in this contact.
Yeah, and there's even like a mention of it in our Bible in Jude 1:9. I think this is the last book before Revelation. It says, "But even the archangel Michael disputed with the devil over the body of Moses." And a lot of people interpret that passage saying, Moses had died by then, and Lucifer, the devil, and Michael, they're fighting over his ascension circuit, what part of Orion he goes to. The Urantia book iterates that too, talking about after Moses died, there was some contention from Lucifer and Satan on what happens to Moses after he died. So very interesting. These are very not scary, but gnarly concepts once you start to realize what the war in heaven really was about.
The destiny of souls was in the balance.
Yeah. Not a war fought with guns and missiles, material combat. It's a fight for eternal souls and where your soul goes into the universe. Like, it's kind of gnarly.
Yeah. Check out our video on our channel. It's called I think it's called the Lucifer Rebellion, intergalactic something Lucifer Rebellion. It's got a sick intro with a cool animated and music to start, and it kind of lays out this whole rebellion concept. Maybe I can put this in the chat for y'all, but we'll keep on keeping on. Do you have anything else to add here on that paragraph that we just read?
No, just if you guys like what you're hearing so far, hit that like button. Try to help us get this information to the front page. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you're up to date with all of the celestial broadcasts. Because the more we all know, the quicker we all know, the faster we will integrate with the Galactic Federation. So,
heck yeah. Okay. We conceive that physical evolution will have attained its full development by the end of the fifth epoch of the Light and Life era. We observe that the upper limits of spiritual development associated with evolving human mind are determined by the adjuster fusion level of conjoint Urantia values and cosmic meanings. But concerning wisdom, while we do not really know, we conjecture that there can never be a limit to intellectual evolution and the attainment of wisdom. On a seventh stage world, wisdom can exhaust the material potentials, enter upon moda insight, and eventually even taste of absonite grandeur.
It's insane. Exhaust material potentials, so they just like maxed out with all their sciences and have it perfectly aligned. Like, this is the perfect way. This is how we do it. That's crazy.
Yeah, and moda insight is basically like the types of things that we study in the afterlife. So like seventh stage light in life. Remember, this is still a material world. We could go there with a spaceship. They are like so tapped in that they're almost studying the afterlife lessons before even going there. And yeah, that's fire. We can do that. We can do that here now. It's, it's not quite the same as that world, but we can still tap into that.
Yeah, they essentially like skip grades. Like when people would go to college early, that's kind of what they do.
Yeah. We observe that on these highly evolved and long seventh stage worlds, human beings fully learn the local universe language before they are translated. And I have visited a few very old planets where
Abendanters? What the fuck? I've never seen that. I just realized I've never seen that word in the Urantia book. I was listening to this paper before I did my last live stream. I listened to it, and when that part, I thought it said Agandonters.
Yeah.
But
you think it's a different word, or is it a typo? Where
it might be a typo,
Agandonters were teaching the older
mortals. Oh yeah,
look
at B's right next to G. Yeah, that's a typo. We found a typo in the Urantia book, dog.
Ooh, I wonder if that's in the hard copy. Should we check it?
Yeah, you
got a hard copy next to you?
I do.
You should check. And I have visited a few very old planets where Agandonters were teaching the older mortals the tongue of the super universe. And on these worlds, I have observed the technique whereby the absentite personalities reveal the presence of the finaliters in the Urantia temple. Ooh. Finaliters is like in this current stage of the universe, the destiny of your soul is to enter a group called the finaliters. And that's like the end of the line, but for this stage of the universe. And so the finaliter groups, they are in these Urantia temples on these high spiritual worlds, right? But they can't exactly be seen by the mortals. But here, what they're saying is that I have observed the technique
typos in this one too.
I searched Agandonters, and this is a word that comes up multiple times, so it must not be a typo. There's actually a section that explains these Agandonters. This is funny.
Target.
So so for context here, I said there's another thing that says here in paper 37, 9, 12, the Uversa headquarters spheres are continuously fostered by an amazing group of beings known as the Agandonters, the creation of the unrevealed agents of the Ancient of Days and the 7 reflective spirits resident on the capital of Orvantan. All right, so it's a whole class of beings apparently. Like we said,
that's interesting. Yeah,
greatest classification of extraterrestrials known to man.
Yeah, wow, that's trippy. Holy crap. Okay, so they never get their own section. They're just like mentioned.
I think there is a section though. It's called the Super Universe Agandonters.
No, but it's like they just list it in the list.
Oh, the core of permanent citizenship. It's just like they're in the list, but
yeah, trippy.
Interesting.
Learn something new every day. Okay, yeah, the Susatia and the Univitatia. Those are the ones I don't give a fuck about. Those are the ones that my mind kind of
makes me think of plants.
Glazes over. Yeah, glazes over. That makes sense. Okay, cool. Agandonters, not to be confused with Agandonters.
Right. It's funny. In the afterlife, we'll all be studying this much more deeply. But for now, it's nice to hear about it. Okay, so continuing to read here.
In that ancient cosmic language, baby.
Yeah, right. The super universe language. That's pretty dope. It talks about different levels of languages that we're going to continue learning. And we have to learn like a new language at a bunch of different stages of the universe. There's a local system language that is like directly for a bunch of the planets in our sector, right? Like we're going to meet all these aliens in the afterlife. And I think that I would imagine they're going to look like aliens still, because it says that like in the earlier stages of your afterlife, your body looks like pretty similar. But it doesn't work on all the same biological processes. And it also says that you no longer have reproductive organs, but you're still going to look relatively similar. But you're going to be more, I don't know, there's tons of other senses that they call Urantia senses, right? So your sensory experience is going to be very rich. And these aliens I'd imagine they're still going to look like aliens. And you meet them because you're still in these Urantia bodies, which are kind of like copies, resurrected from your Earth form or your planetary form. But then as you go up, it says there's 500 some stages of your Urantia body, and it's becoming like, you could say less and less dense or less limited to the form that your mind like holds, that it's used to, right? Until you become like a pure spirit being. And that includes that, on
I
Earth,
don't identify with forms.
yeah, right. On Earth, if you fuse, you go straight from like material to spirit. That's why there's this massive flash of light. It's just this like that differential like literally sheds off the body. But in the afterlife, it's like a slower process if you're going kind of at a normal pace. And that's why there's like 512 measurable, I guess you could say, changes in in the body that you have until you get to that like full spirit level. And you also are then less, you could say, defined by gravity, right? Gravity acts on matter, whether it be material or Urantia matter. And in fact, gravity sort of is like a repelling force because it's like these waves of energy emitting from the central universe. And so think of it, it's like kind of pushing, you could even say it's like kind of pushing souls outward to the outer edges of the seven super universes. And the souls are trying to push against that gravitic force inwards. And it says that there's material gravity and there's spiritual gravity. And that spirit gravity, it does overcome material gravity, but that's where your mind has to become in harmony with the divine, which is the source of material gravity, right? So during that process, you actually sort of lose that, you lose the same relationship to gravity. You could say it could probably feel similar to like flying in a lucid dream, right? Like in a dream where you're kind of like just mental light pictures, you're not attached to gravity anymore, right? But like in the spirit, in the realm of like material and spirit and this Urantia realm, you're like you're losing the attachment or the to gravity where spiritual gravity overcomes it, and then you ride those spirit circuits to the center of the universe and continue the journey in like a whole nother level that's unlocked for you.
Yeah, it's hot. You get susceptible to the spirit pool that pulls you against the physical gravity. It's important. And that's what people call expanding your consciousness, raising your vibration. We all know these general terms, but that's essentially what we're talking about is spiritualizing your mind to the point where you now kind of get grasped by those anti-gravity circuits that pull you away from material gravity. It's a super beautiful picture that you just painted in the mind. So
Also, a weird hack for anti-grav that is non-UFO
yeah,
related.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah.
Spirit gravity.
Oh, maybe that's how the UFOs work.
That's more like I guess that's like a Merkaba light ship, right? It's more based on your mind, body,
Yeah.
spirit ability to mind over matter, literally.
And maybe, they talk about these ships like they don't have any mechanics in them. They're just totally psionic and go off your own energy. So it needs the pilot there. So maybe if you're more spiritized, it allows you to overcome specific
Yeah.
physical
Yeah.
gravities using the ship.
Well, it also says that like this, the God fragment is literally like the purest source of energy because it
Yes.
comes from the center of the universe before, everything's differentiated. And so that's another reason why, like, when people fuse, there's like this grand flash of light because you're talking about like pure, like free energy, you could say, that's like coming from the spirit level, like fully encompassing your mind, body, spirit. And so, like, the physical body, you could say, can't even exist independently in that state. And that's why it's like it completely, like, I don't know, gets transmutated or just like dissolves. I guess you could say energy is neither created nor destroyed. It probably just goes back to the universe. Um, but your mind and your personality, remains as an individual. But now your form is fully as a spirit form.
That's hot.
All right. This is the story of the magnificent goal of mortal striving on the evolutionary worlds, and it all takes place even before human beings enter upon their Urantia careers. All of this splendid development is attainable by material morals on the inhabited worlds, the very first stage of that endless and incomprehensible career of paradise ascension and divinity attainment. But can you possibly imagine what sort of evolutionary mortals are now coming up from worlds long existing in the seventh epoch of settled light and life? It is such as these who go on to the Urantia worlds of the local universe capital to begin their ascension careers. Okay. So that's like the local universe capital. It is such as these as the go to the Urantia worlds. That's like skipping the first because we're in this section that it calls Satania, which is kind of like, you could say it's the rebellious section. That's why the name is Satan, which means adversary. And we have like a direct Urantia planet that we go to, but this is saying, it looks like this is saying, for those in these higher states of light and life, they go straight to the local universe capital Urantia planets instead of going to those like local sectors within their galaxies. If the mortals of distraught Urantia could only view one of these more advanced worlds long settled in light and life, they would never more question the wisdom of the evolutionary scheme of creation. Were there no future of eternal creature progression, still the superb evolutionary attainments of the mortal races on such settled worlds of perfected achievement would amply justify man's creation on the worlds of time and space. We often ponder, if the grand universe should be settled in light and life, would the ascending exquisite mortals still be destined to the core of finality? But we do not know.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. Some high universe dynamics at play. We don't have to go over it too much, but pretty much like if every planet became super advanced in light and life, it would kind of cut out the need for these mansion worlds, and it would change the entire ascension regime, because you'd no longer need these anymore because you can get it done on your nativity, your planet of nativity. But again, those are deep cosmic philosophical questions that we could probably talk about in a different paper, not for this paper at the moment, but something to stimulate the minds of the mortals of Urantia. And let's hit this, let's do this last section too. Or not last section, but next section. So this is talking about the first or planetary stage. And actually, I think right now would be a good time to play some of this Kardashev scale video, so we can talk about the different ET types, the type 1, the type 2, the type 3. I think Michio gives a nice breakdown. We did play this video in the beginning of part 1, so if you missed it, here it is again.
All right, let me get this shared with y'all. You can see it there, Deadrick?
Yeah, I got it. Sure.
Here we go.
We physicists have often wondered, are there signs of intelligent life in the galaxy? And if so, how advanced might they be? So we categorize these alien civilizations on the basis of energy consumption. Type 1 would be planetary. They control the weather. They control anything planetary because they have the energy of a planet. Then there's type 2. A type 2 civilization has exhausted the power of their planet, and they use the sun. They basically take the energy from their sun to power their machines. Sort of like the Federation of Planets in Star Trek. Then there's type 3, galactic. They roam the galactic space lanes. They play with black holes, sort of like the Empire of Empire Strikes Back. That would be a type 3 civilization. And then the question is, what are we? We are type 0. We get our energy from dead plants, oil and coal. We don't even rate on this scale. We have not attained planetary energy at all. But what would it take to move between universes, to enter a black hole, to break the light barrier? You would have to reach the energy of type 3. This is called the Planck energy. The Planck energy is the energy of a black hole, is the energy of the Big Bang. It is the greatest energy in the universe. So how long before we can attain the Planck energy and move between universes? Well, a modest calculation shows that you would have to be about 100,000 years more advanced than us. Sorry about that. The next question is, how would we know of a type 3 or type 2 civilization if we were to bump into one? Let's say that scanning the heavens, we see evidence of a type 2, type 3 civilization. How would we know? Well, we've looked. We've looked for type 2 because type 2 civilizations give off an energy, a characteristic black body radiation that we can measure. So far, we find none. Now, that doesn't mean that there aren't these civilizations out there. It just means that our devices are so primitive that we have not yet been able to conclusively show that they exist. But if they can go faster than the speed of light, then it's possible they may have the energy of a wormhole. And at that point, they would be type 3. They would have the Planck energy to create universes or to move between universes. Also, when we talk about intelligence in outer space, we have to be open to the idea that their intelligence may be quite different from our intelligence. And therefore, the question is, how do we tell where real intelligence is, given the fact that it could be more than one type of intelligence? Well, let me give you an example. That was in a swimming pool with dolphins. Sensors picked up the squeals and chirps from the dolphins, and then they ran it through a computer. They found bingo. Yes, they are
They were playing bingo.
Yes,
they found
pattern,
bingo.
a regularity to their chirps. And so it is possible to
they're
rank
raping each other.
intelligence
Bingo.
using computers that look for an algorithm. We'll do that in outer space now. In outer space, there's lots of garbage, there's lots of gibberish out there. And we think that most of the gibberish is just exploding stars, random events of no particular importance. But maybe using a quantum computer, we may be able to go through the mountains of data coming from outer space and find the signals of intelligence. Historically, when physicists were asked about flying saucers and UAPs and extraterrestrial civilizations, you just can't say that, gee, I saw something going across the sky last night. Maybe you did, maybe you didn't. You have to have data. About 90% of these sightings can be explained using natural phenomenon, or weather anomalies, or weather balloons. But 10% of them seem to defy the known laws of engineering. So we have to look at them very carefully. Very little data has been collected until recently. And we physicists need data so that we can make objective statements about what these things are. The burden of proof is on the military now to prove that these things aren't extraterrestrial. And that's a sea change. We now realize that these objects can travel up to Mach 20 times the speed of sound. And they can even fly underwater, believe it or not, underwater, in the air, into outer space. And they zigzag. When you calculate the centrifugal force inside the rocket ship, you realize that any living thing would be crushed by the zigzagging of these objects, whatever they are. So in other words, we're talking about a new law of engineering beyond anything that we can muster here on the planet Earth. So is it an optical illusion or is it extraterrestrial? We don't know until we analyze the data. Now we have the data, and now we have physicists looking frame by frame and perhaps coming up with a conclusion as to where these objects come from.
Nice.
I did
Shout out
not
to
know that
Michio
was
Kaku.
UFO propaganda.
Join our members only.
No, I'm playing.
Yeah,
it just kind of switched
I like how I showed
unexpectedly,
all
but that's dope.
all them videos. Yeah. So that's the Kardashev skill. And that's funny. Now that I'm realizing it, I think Kardashev came out in like 50s or 60s. So this is pre-Kardashev scale, and they're talking about the different stages of civilization right here. So it's pretty cool. See a little correlation.
I wonder if there was like a book, like if there's a bunch more about the Kardashev, like interesting from the original source.
So it's like a type 0, which is what we are currently. Type 1, you can make use of all your planetary energy. Type 2, you can make use of your local star. Then type 3, your galactic black holes. That's the type of template that we're using to understand what we're currently reading right now. So part 7, it says the first, or the planetary stage. I remember, I think that this list came out before the Kardashev scale. So
Ooh.
This epoch extends from the appearance of the Urantia temple at the new planetary headquarters to the time of settling of the entire system in light and life. They're talking about us. That's crazy. This age is inaugurated by the Trinity teacher sons at the close of their successive world missions, when the planetary prince is elevated to the status of planetary sovereign by the mandate and personal presence of the paradise bestowal son of that sphere. Concomitant therewith, the finalitors inaugurate their active participation in planetary affairs. Damn. So on the first planetary stage, right when we get our first Urantia temple, finalitors officially start working with yes. So and I think we have finalitors here now working on planet Earth. So
yeah,
that's pretty dope. Shout out to Ashtar.
Ooh, hot take.
Ashtar's outward finaliter. Fuck, dude. Thyron. To outward and visible appearances, the actual rulers or directors of such a world settled in light and life are the material son and daughter, the planetary Adam and Eve. The finalitors are invisible, as also is the prince sovereign, except when in the Urantia temple. The actual and literal heads of the planetary regime are therefore the material son and daughter, the Adam and Eve. It is the knowledge of these arrangements that has given prestige to the idea of kings and queens throughout the universe realms. And kings and queens are a great success under these ideal circumstances, when a world can command such high personalities to act in behalf of still higher but invisible rulers. When such an era is attained on your world, no doubt Macaventa Melchizedek, the Melchizedek who taught Abraham from our Bible, he is now the vicegerent planetary prince of Urantia, and he will occupy the seat of planetary sovereign. And it has long been conjectured on Jerusalem, what I say Orion, that he will be accompanied by a son and daughter of the Urantia Adam and Eve, who are now held on Edentia as wards of the Most Highs of Norlashadek. These children of Adam might so serve on Urantia in association with the Melchizedek sovereign, since they were deprived of procreative powers almost 37,000 years ago, at the time they gave up their material bodies on Earth in preparation for transit to Edentia. So that's a lot right there. It's pretty much saying that, like when the Anunnaki landed 500,000 years ago, Anu, the leader of them, he was invisible. He didn't have a body, but his 100 staff members, they had physical bodies. Adam and Eve had physical bodies too. So they're saying on a regular planet that Adam and Eve would be the physical rulers of the planet, but they are still liaison officers from even higher beings who we can't see, who are still resident and governing the planet, who would be the Melchizedek. We wouldn't see the Melchizedek in his invisible form, but he would be the actual planetary prince, and he would give orders to Adam and Eve, who we can see, and then they would be the de facto planetary sovereigns. But because our planet is so screwed up, and because the Lucifer rebellion kind of just fucked everything up, and we don't have any more angels on planet in the flesh physically administering to us, it says that from the angels who gave us this transmission, they're conjecturing, and they're saying that the angels believe that Melchizedek, who taught Abraham in the Bible, he will come back to planet Earth. And when he comes back to planet Earth, he will bring Adam and Eve's kids with him. And that's going to be, if that happens, that would be a huge change in planetary government, obviously. And that's why we actually started Planetary HQ, to get this planet prepared so that this shit can actually happen. So join the cause, baby.
Yeah, you heard it here. The secret mission of Planetary HQ is to be there when Macaventa lands with Adam and Eve's children.
Or dap them up. Look at the camera and be like, "Yep, told you guys."
Yeah, we'll be there with the cameras. Yeah. Live streaming, of course.
Macaventa, he says he needs influencers, right?
Melchizedek.
Paper 197. This settled age continues on and on until every inhabited planet in the system attains the era of stabilization. And then, when the youngest world, the last to achieve light and life, has experienced such a settledness for 1 millennium of system time, the entire system enters the stabilized status, and the individual worlds are ushered into the system epoch of era of light and life. Wow. So there's a system, a light and life schedule too. But I don't think, well, it says no system has yet achieved a full system-wide light and life stage yet. So we're still a young universe, only like billions of years old, still baby. And
Nice.
with that, I mean, we could probably pick this up later. I don't know if we want to keep going too much. I think we can turn this into a 3-parter.
Yeah, I think we're about an hour and a half in. So
yeah, that's cool. Just wanted to give a little bit to the people because we've been trying to, I was going to do this live stream on like Monday or Tuesday, and I got caught up because I had family over. They've been pushing it out, but it's the first year of the new year, and we wanted to start it off right, baby.
And I've been absent for a while, doing some traveling, and now we back. We got a lot of stuff in the pipeline. We always got stuff to edit and push out there, and then we're also, making sure that we hit live streams every week. Definitely, we got a new we got a new t-shirt shop up. Our older trailer might be actually outdated. I mean, I can still play it, but maybe we could just preview. Maybe let's see.
Yeah, preview the store, and
then just preview the store on like.
Yeah.
Let's see. What is it?
End out
just planetaryhq.com. Okay.
Planetary-HQ.com, baby.
Yeah. So check this out, y'all. I'm just on the website, so do you need me to share my screen?
No.
Okay. Yeah, so we linked our domain with this. So right now, this is what our website's looking like. You got the merch. The stars are watching. 3A Atlas is Project Bluebeam. TR3B Classic. Let's check this one out. What's up with the TR3B Classic? Ooh, nice. Can I full screen this?
Like that?
How do I get this? Yeah. Let me open image in new tab here. Let's see.
50 style prototype TR3B getting washed in the driveway of a perfectly 50s nuclear family setting.
Nice. That's hilarious. Did you make that?
Yeah, I made that.
Oh, word. Yeah, that's good. So, bet y'all haven't seen that graphic tee before. Only on planetaryhq.com or planetary-hq.com. Let's see what else we got here. We got the classic Legacy OG tee. As always, got to keep the classics in there. Let's see. I like this hoodie. Stars are watching.
Yeah, I like that one a lot too.
That symbol is one of the organizations. Which organization?
Space Force Intelligence.
Space Force Intelligence. It's when the gaze of the Sphinx aligns with the star of Regulus.
Yeah, seriously. And when you wear that and you wear it around in public, anybody else is on this subject, they see that, they're gonna be like, "Oh, him!
Right?
He's on the same thing as me," So that's cool. We do also have the tinfoil hat.
Oh, we do.
TFH1. Go check it out. It's at the bottom right there.
Nice.
First edition. We'll be rolling out more iterations of it, but you can get the first edition right there. Tinfoil hat one. We do have a little vinyl sticker too, so you can rip the cause, put it wherever you want.
You can.
Anytime you buy something, it's just.
Yeah, if y'all don't trust our tinfoil, definitely line it with some of your own. Get double layer, triple layer. Make sure you're not on that 1-ply. No. Get the 2-ply tinfoil. Whatever you need based on your level of psychic aura. Look, if your psychic aura is bossing, then like you might not need the tinfoil, but like we get it. Everyone's at a different place. You're feeling depressed today. You better just put on the tinfoil hat just to feel like a little bit safer. You're like, I feel like my aura is gonna bleed through. Like some bad energy, some lower light codes are gonna get into my system. Like, okay, today I'm just gonna wear the tinfoil hat just to be safe, just to play it safe. Like we get that. As long as you're like trying to progress every day, it's okay to feel down. It's okay to wear your tinfoil hat. But at the end of the day, you know, you are going to upgrade. Your aura will be your tinfoil. Just make sure you're aware. So, but you know, in the meantime, we're going to use all the tools that we got. So that's the story. That's what we got. We got a home and living section. Oh, a sticker.
And is that home and living? Yeah, we got a sticker. Yeah. And like you said, if the lizard people are fucking entering your mind, or the CIA is using voice to skull technology, the tinfoil hat may help out with that. I'm not sure. I'm not saying 100% it will, but it may help out with that. If you like the Urantia tee, you want to be part of the Urantia gang, we got the Urantia gang shirt right there. So be an official part of it. Anyone out there repping that shit, UB gang. Yeah, just check it out. Every time you buy something, it'll contribute to us getting our Mind Body Spirit app, which we think is really going to help society, help track your mind, body, spirit progress. And then you'll get multipliers for doing it with other people. It'll be the future of social media. So you can help take the planet back from all these capitalistic elite people who are willing to manipulate their fellow men and women in order for their material gain, while we all squander in poverty. That doesn't have to happen. We can all band together and take the planet back. So go buy yourself some swag, go get yourself a tinfoil hat or a nice hoodie. And all of that profit is getting dumped directly into the Mind, Body, Spirit program, the Legacy program. So with your help together, we can take it back, baby. Planetary HQ.
So, I don't know. We got the outro music playing. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. I don't know if we have short words of power here. Look, we're gonna get to level. Remember, Michio Kaku said we're at level 0. Let's at least get to like level 1 within our generation. But remember, at the end of the day, no matter how fast the pace of technological society is and how we harness energy, remember that it's about the spirit gravity. That's what you can change. That's what you can do today, tomorrow, the next day. That's for sure. I don't know if these scientists are going to ever get the anti-gravity out in our lifetime. I'm not waiting on that. I'm going to fuse here. I'm going to go out in a flash of light. I'm going to send out invites. Join my fusion day. We got the prototype Urantia temple. We'll be doing it on the top of Giza just for aura boost. So yeah, I mean, make that your focus. D-Bake, what's your words of power?
You got me pumped up over here. I'm seeing some mental images. Just remember that this episode is officially the first day of 2026. This will be our year. At the end of the year, we're going to have 50K, 100K subscribers, and we're going to be doing a tour. We're all going to be, whatever state or city that you guys live in and you hear us announce that, we need you to show up together so that we can talk face to face, get to know each other in the flesh, because we need to know who our working partners are together. So stay tuned this year now, because the first will be in Monterey, California for the Urantia International Conference. We're probably going to be at LA at Conscious Life Expo. Full dates will be coming out soon. Actually just got the message. I think we are going to LA Conscious Life Expo. So love you guys. Peace out. Keep doing your work.